and welcome to another episode of PDA Dad UK. This episode is a little different, and I wanted to talk about something that's very personal to me and I think affects a lot of us, whether we fall into neurotypical or neurodiverse camps. It affects everybody the world over, one way or another, and that's the topic of bullying. And it's very raw on my mind. I've literally just been sitting watching the Jessie Nelson documentary. Now, I'm not a big Little Mix fan or anything like that. It's not my kind of music. But she talks about the online bullying that she received, and it's really affected me, and it's brought up some really stark memories. So as a kid, I was bullied a lot. It tortured my existence in my teen years. I've always been a big chap. I've always been overweight, and I've never really felt I fit in until later on in life. It affects me to this day. I will still get nightmares about the bullying that I faced when I was a kid, and it's something you feel you can't escape at the time. There's no way out of it, and it's only got worse with social media. Now, I'm a fan of social media in so many ways. I have family in Australia, and I have friends over the world who the only way I can really connect with is through social media. That's the way I get to share pictures of my kids. That's the way I get to share my life so that we can keep up. It's important from somebody who's lived in Australia for most of his life and then has moved over to the UK and is doing what I'm doing. One of the things that terrifies me is what happens if my kids face the same sort of things that I faced. This comes into a starker contrast for me when I think of my daughter, because she is neurodiverse, because my daughter's autistic. There's an instant reason for people to pick on her, and it scares me when I see the effects of bullying on other people and how they've had to deal with it. And looking at this Jessie Nelson documentary, and she's talking about she's gone to visit the family of a girl who committed suicide because of the online bullying that she was receiving. And she talks about her own attempt at suicide. And it made me sick to the stomach when you see people like Katie Hopkins, who openly online on Twitter going and calling her chubby and making these derogatory remarks, and thinking it's just social media and the excuse there that, well, they're in the spotlight, they should expect it. What about those who aren't in the spotlight? Should they expect it? And yet they do. One of my good friends, Adam Pearson, who I do the Grumpy Gits with, did a documentary himself on bullying and the bullying he received because he looks different. And I don't know where we start with trying to fix the issue. I worry for my kids, and I worry for other people's kids and for other people who receive this online constantly all the time. On the Blow the Top episode we did recently, and my friend Chris, who's my other grumpy dad that I do the show with, had raised a chap on TikTok who was blind, and he was getting comments on his TikToks that were talking about the fact that he, making fun of him because he looked different.
He tried to be a teacher but couldn't control his pupils. This comment is sick, and you know what? You're going to spoil it for everybody else, because if this keeps happening to me, I'm just going to turn my comments off. I'm getting fed up with it now. There's no need to bully me. I haven't done anything to you. So will you please just stop putting nasty comments in my comment section? That video that I made, near enough the whole comment section is just negative comments. Fed up with it. Thanks for ruining my day.
We have a culture that seems to say that it's okay once you're behind a keyboard to do anything and say anything you like. The gift of anonymity means that you can just go in and say what you like and there's no recompense. The only people who pay are the people who are at the receiving end. What do we do about it? How do we make changes to society that show that this is not acceptable, that it's not okay? Every ism that exists starts with a form of bullying, from what I can see, whether it be racism, sexism, genderism, ableism. It all starts with a bullying mentality where people who are marginalised already are then made to feel more marginalised because they're different in some way or another. And I believe the responsibility starts with us. Unfollowing the accounts of people who say this, unfollowing Katie Hopkins, not drawing attention to it. Adam Pearson, who I was just mentioning, who we do the Grumpy Dick Gits with, has a thing where if he is going to correct someone who said something negative or derogatory, he won't respond to them. He'll screenshot and then point out all the spelling mistakes, and that's what he does. That's the way he deals with it. Now, if you know Adam, you'll know he's one of the most beautiful guys you'll ever meet. He's funny, witty, really caring, and a really genuine human being. And it pisses me off that people take these things and marginalise based on things as simple as appearance, and this pack mentality of beating people down into the lowest form of what they can feel themselves to be. And it doesn't end with social media now. You hop online and people are messaging, people are making comments, and if you're in the spotlight for any reason, you do open yourself up to it even more. But that's not right. That's not good. That's not how life should be. I don't really know what the point of this is, in the sense that I don't know what I can address other than this is a problem that we need to address as a society. There are times that I've seen people close to me be bullies, and having to hop on that and say that's not going to happen under my watch. There are times that I've seen people close to me be bullied and having to be there, and what do you say? How do you explain to someone they're just being assholes and you need to let it go? How do you let personal attacks go? Doesn't matter how mentally you can distance yourself from the comments made or the things said, they still hurt. You can have 100 positive comments on something. You're only going to pick up on that one negative, and that's going to eat away at you. We're not going to fix the isms in our society until we address the bullying nature that is accepted and in so many ways encouraged in our society. As I say, I spent a lot of time in my youth being bullied, and I never felt safe. I didn't feel safe at school. I didn't feel safe at home, and that was before social media. I still wake up on occasion having had nightmares about the bullying I received. And that's, I'm a 48-year-old man now. And yet it still affects me. The scars from the trauma I experienced. We've looked at polyvagal and how that's an innate part of our nervous system. But it scares me that that's me as a 48-year-old man who's relatively intelligent and able to rationalise and compose myself in those situations. If you are guilty of bullying, you might feel bad about it. You might feel stuck in a position where you keep feeling you need to. Maybe it makes you feel validated. I've been lucky enough that I've had people who were responsible in some ways for my bullying, who've reached out since through social media and apologised. And I just respect that so much, because it takes a lot to admit that you've been in the wrong. And it meant a lot that, a couple of people were prepared to say, I feel so bad about it all these years later. and felt the need to reach out. We all have opinions, we all have things that we want to express, personal, deep-held beliefs. But if something you say is going to damage somebody in some way, and the whole phrase of sticks and stones will break your bones, names will never hurt me kind of thing, you know, it's such a stupid way to look at things, because the psychological damage that's done through bullying is so far beyond anything that, you know, I'd happily have both my legs broken than experience the bullying and the name calling and the way that makes you feel. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky person these days. We have a lot of pressures in our life, but we deal with that, and part of the way I deal with that is by being jovial and trying to be positive and trying to be constructive. But the insecurities that are there from my childhood are still there today. I'm still very aware of my weight. You know, I minimalize it and I don't dwell on it, but it always sits there. You know, you worry about what other people are thinking of you as you walk through, and what are their judgments being, what are they really thinking. You start putting thoughts into other people's minds, if you like, whether they be true or not, that this must be what they think because that's what I think. So yeah, I just wanted to come on and say this is something that we need to address as a society in general. If we want to be rid of the isms, we need to get rid of the bullying mentality that's allowed to exist first. You know, schools are doing everything they can about it in most instances. Social media needs to take some responsibility and connect with people who've suffered and get their input and advice. But I think the biggest challenge is if you're a person who's guilty of being a bully at any point, is being able to own that and say, I'm really sorry, and reaching out to people that you might need to reach out to. Be prepared to make an enemy of your friends if they're the ones encouraging you to go down this path. We want a society where our kids have a great future. And the thing that scares me most is not having that taken away because they're being demeaned, made fun of, and so they retreat to safe places, they retreat to their bedrooms, but they can't escape it because the phone follows them. They're scared to go out, they're scared to do things because they're worried about what other people think. Regardless of what your beliefs are, we're made as beautiful people, one and all. Every person on this planet is beautiful in one way or another. And if your mentality is so veneer thin that you won't go past what an initial look is to actually know the person deep inside and see the beauty of a person deep inside, then you need to really have a hard look at yourself and where your values are. As I say, this isn't to, I don't know, the purpose of this wasn't to do anything other than vent my thoughts, maybe a bit of therapy for myself, as this has really drawn up a lot of emotions in me, and I wanted to share it because I think it's important. It's something we do together, and the first thing we do, in my opinion, is stop following accounts where we know people are bullies, where we know people are saying cruel, demeaning and nasty things. Stop giving them the fame and the notoriety they crave by being horrible people. And I don't doubt that. I really hope Katie Hopkins has some redeeming features that she doesn't show to the world. I don't doubt that there's some hurt in her life and there's some things that she needs to potentially move past. But I don't care what you've been through, it's never an excuse to take somebody else down. That's all I wanted to say. So I'll step out here, but yeah, I hope everyone's well. And if this is affecting you, share with someone, talk to people and get support. And there's a lot of charities out there that help with bullying. There are bullying charities that are out there that are there to help. I'll pop some links in the description once I've done this. But yeah, stay well, stay safe, and thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.